Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Beeler, and I am the social media manager here at COSI. Thank you for joining me today for the 2021 COSI Science Festival. The festival has moved from a 4-day physical festival to an all-digital format May 5th through 8th. On May 8th, we hope you will connect virtually with at-home science activities and share your experience with photos or videos on social media using hashtag COSI And of course, we want to give a big shout out to all of the sponsors and partners of the COSI Science Festival, especially our visionary sponsor, Battelle. We certainly couldn't do this without them. Want to show your support for COSI? We are nominated once again for USA Today's 10 Best Science Museum. You can vote for COSI by visiting cosi.org/10best, and don't forget, COSI opens to the public on June 3rd. Now it is my pleasure to welcome you to today's event.
Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Grace Brown and I am here today presenting Girl2Girl Inspiring Future STEM Leaders. Girl2Girl is a 501c3 nonprofit that I created several years ago to inspire young ladies to consider science, technology, engineering, and mathematics as a potential career option for their future. So let's jump right into it. I'm going to start off by telling you guys a little bit about myself. So to do that, we're going to jump back a few years. 5 years ago today, I was a high school student. I was a sophomore in high school, actually, just 16 years old. Here's a picture of me in high school. I was an honors student on an accelerated track, but I really distanced myself from my fellow honors students. I was very much interested in being cool and popular and having everyone like me. So here's an example of me attempting to get everyone to like me. I was also a dancer. I was a competitive dancer. I competed in tap, jazz, hip hop, and occasionally contemporary, but I wasn't very good at it. I also was a cheerleader, not because I enjoyed it, but because it was the cool thing to do, and I got to make friends outside of my Smart Kids classes. And I was a soccer player. Now this I did because I loved it. I was the captain of my high school soccer team, and I played on a co-ed team in the spring with my brother. So it was kind of a family thing, and I loved it very, very much. And most importantly, I dreamed to become a fashion designer. I put this picture because this is a photo of me in 2016 in New York City. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is exactly where I would have been. I would have said I will be in school in New York City studying fashion design, maybe have already created a fashion line of my own. However, 5 years later, things look a little bit different. I'm not there at all. I am a college student, but I attend Ohio State University. I started college at Ohio University Lancaster. I did 1 year there because I could not afford to go to a 4-year college, and I had not prepared well enough financially to go to a 4-year college. I am still a dancer. I don't compete in dance anymore, and I'm not trying to become a professional dancer. I stick mostly to tapping by myself and TikTok dancing. I am health and fitness obsessed. I spend all day, every day in the gym. I love taking care of my body and eating healthy. I am Miss Franklin County 2021 in the Miss America organization. I compete for the title of Miss Ohio on June 19th this summer, so that's very exciting. And the Miss America organization is the reason why I was able to transfer to Ohio State and attend that school for the past 2 years, because the Miss America organization is the largest scholarship provider for women in the United States, awarding $4 million in scholarship last year alone. So I've earned several $1,000s in scholarship from this organization, and it has helped me very, very much. And I am on track to becoming a doctor. I study biology pre-med, and I plan to attend medical school and specialize in obstetrics and gynecology, or as you may know, OBGYN is what I would like to become. So things definitely look a little bit different than I had intended. And what has changed? What is different? I mean, besides the fact that I dyed my hair blonde, a lot is different. And one of the biggest things is that I found STEM. But I didn't do it alone. I had the help of a mentor. This is my first mentor, Mr. Snedeker, my high school biology teacher, who I had my sophomore year of high school. And as you can see, maybe not from this photo, Mr. Snedeker was absolutely 100% the cool teacher. He was friends with everybody. He made biology fun for every student. He was the middle school track coach, and he was everybody's friend. So he was somebody that I looked up to long before I considered a career in STEM. But one day, about a quarter of the way through my sophomore year, he pulled me aside after class and told me that I had a special skill for understanding biology. And he noticed that I was abnormally interested in what I was learning. And so at first I was shocked. I was not expecting him to say this to me. I mean, I'm smart. I always did good in school, especially in science and math, but I never considered it for a career. In fact, I wanted to get as far away from it as possible because I wanted to do something fun and exciting, and I didn't think science was fun or exciting. So when I thought that science was boring and uncool, Mr. Snedeker showed me that it was fun and challenging and impressive. And so very shortly after that conversation, I completely changed my path from planning on attending college to study fashion design to study biology and potentially pre-med. I hadn't quite decided if I was going to be a doctor yet, but I knew I wanted to study biology, all because of the impact that Mr. Snedeker had on my life. And so realizing that I was in a really unique situation where somebody pulled me aside and introduced me to this idea, I realized that there's a lot of girls out there who don't have this person in their life. And so I decided that I wanted to be that person for as many girls as I possibly could. And that's why I created Girl2Girl. That's why I do these presentations, because I want to inspire young girls to see that there's more opportunity out there than what they see on the surface. There are so many opportunities out there for you, and the world is your oyster. So why am I sharing this with you today? What is so important about my story? And what does it have to do with you? I'm assuming that a lot of you here today are here because you are already interested in studying STEM. You're already pursuing an education in STEM, and you plan to go into a STEM career of some sort. And the reason why it is important that I tell you this story, the reason why I think it's important to tell you about mentors is because we need more women in STEM. We really, really need you. Right now, women only occupy 25% of job positions in STEM. And I bet you've heard this statistic before. That means that only 1 in 4 STEM professionals are women. And this poses a considerable issue. This means that women who are studying and working in STEM experience something that we call discrimination. This is unfair treatment because of your race, gender, or religious beliefs. In this particular instance, we're talking about gender. So women in STEM experience discrimination in all sorts of ways. We have trouble having our ideas and opinions respected by our male counterparts. And oftentimes, our male coworkers treat us like younger sisters. I don't know how many of you here today have an older sibling, but I do. And I do not enjoy the way that my older brother treats me sometimes. He doesn't listen to what I have to say. He doesn't let me ever have a turn if we're sharing something. Right now, we're trying to share a washer and dryer to do our laundry, and I never get my turn. And this is kind of what it's like for women working in STEM. But there's all sorts of other ways that we are discriminated against. And it's really unfortunate for women. At the end of the day, it comes down to respect. We are not respected as much as our male counterparts, all because we are in the minority. And so the solution here is that more women means more respect. If there's more of us, they're not going to be able to disrespect us. They're not going to be able to throw our ideas and our opinions aside because there are just as many of us as them. Another thing about increasing the amount of women in STEM is that we add a certain level of diversity to the conversation. A conversation of 10 men at a table versus 10 men and 1 woman is an entirely different conversation. An example of how women contribute to STEM is the story of how the airbag was invented. When the airbag was first created, it was created by a group of men alone. And while the airbag worked really well at protecting men in car accidents, it didn't work so well on women and children because they didn't have that female perspective to say, well, what if that person has a smaller frame? They were all in the same state of mind, thinking the exact same things about how this airbag would work, and they didn't consider this one extremely important piece. Another reason why we need more women in STEM is that there will be over 1 million job positions in STEM open in less than 10 years. And while this seems like a statistic that looks like a great opportunity, it's actually a great issue. We live in a really progressive world, and every day we need more skilled STEM professionals, especially with the world becoming automative and technology being the main source of how we live our lives. We can see this especially today with having our whole entire world go online for the coronavirus pandemic. And also, imagine if we hadn't had enough doctors or nurses in our hospitals to take care of patients during the pandemic. Or what if we didn't have enough scientists working on the vaccine? Our world would look a lot different right now. And so in just 10 years, there will be 1 million people needed in these professions, which could cause a serious issue. And in order to fill these jobs, we need to close the gender gap. We need to increase the amount of women in STEM in order to fill these jobs. 1 million in the grand scheme of things isn't that many, but if it removes 1 woman from each company, that will make a great difference. So we need to make sure we are filling those job positions and keeping women in STEM. And it all boils down to these 3 words. We must encourage women to pursue STEM. We must help them persist to ensure that they succeed. And by we, I mean mentors or friends or anybody who is studying in STEM. If you're involved, this is an issue that applies to you, and you should be encouraging other young ladies to pursue, persist, and succeed in STEM as well. So I want to break down these 3 words, talk a little bit about how each of them apply to you, and give you a little bit of insight into how to approach these 3 steps. So we'll start with pursuit. So to pursue means to continue on a path or route. In this instance, we are beginning on a path to a career in STEM, and we are staying on that path. How do we do this? We can do this in class by paying more attention and taking notes during class, making sure that we are learning as much as we can in our STEM courses. You don't have to get straight A's. You don't have to be a perfect student, even in your STEM classes, to study STEM, to go to college for STEM, and to eventually have a career in it. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to try. You have to put in effort, and you have to be interested in learning the things that are presented to you in these classes. After class is also a really important time to pursue STEM. So immediately after class, I recommend going up and talking to your teacher, maybe about what you were talking about in class that day, dive a little bit deeper, or ask your teacher what they might think about you pursuing a career in STEM, and maybe what their advice would be on how to approach the situation. What are some things that you specifically could be doing? I'm sharing some specific things with you now, but your teacher might have an entirely different insight. Also, after class, Google is your best friend. The entire world of STEM is on Google. And if you are interested in any specific topic, Google has the answer for you. So do science museums like COSI. And I'm from Newark, Ohio, so we have a science museum there called The Works. If you're over in Eastern Ohio and can't make it all the way to COSI. But places like this, places where you can explore your curiosity and learn a little bit more outside of class, are always helpful to pursue STEM. Also, I recommend that you get involved. So schools have science fairs and science-related clubs, such as a biology club, or they might have a mathletes club or a robotics club. And all of these clubs are perfect for you if you're interested in pursuing STEM. Even if they're not exactly what you're interested in, even if they stray a little bit away from what you want to do, they're all really helpful in preparing you for your future in STEM. And that's because an education in STEM looks a little bit different than an education in pretty much anything else, especially when you get to college. Because when you study science, you are expected to study all facets, all different types of science. So I major in biology, but I also study chemistry and physics and statistics. I've taken all the math courses that are available, geography, geology, astronomy. There are all sorts of different sciences that you are required to take. And so by broadening your skill set, even if it's a little bit off of what you initially intended, it can be extremely valuable when you're headed off to college. But also, it might change your path. Maybe you right now are interested in studying chemistry or biology, but you take that robotics class and now you're interested in becoming an engineer because you love what you're doing so much. All aspects of STEM need more women, so derailing your path just a little bit to choose a different area of STEM is absolutely 100% acceptable. And kind of piggybacking off of that, it's important that you go above and beyond in STEM. And by this, I mean that you have your typical bio or science courses that you take when you get to high school. They usually follow this pattern: physical science, biology, chemistry, physics, but most schools offer additional science courses that you can take that aren't required. My advice to somebody pursuing STEM would be to take those courses. I didn't decide to study STEM until I was a sophomore in high school, so I ended up taking all of the science courses that my school had to offer in the last 2 years that I was in high school. If you can maybe get ahead and take them a little bit earlier, it would be extremely beneficial to you. Also, schools often offer advanced placement courses for these classes or honors courses for these classes, and those are extremely recommended for somebody pursuing STEM. Once again, you don't have to be perfect in any of these classes. You don't have to get straight A's. You don't have to have the perfect GPA. All you have to do is try. And my last piece of advice to someone pursuing STEM is to seek out a mentor. I mentioned it earlier. Maybe talk to your teacher about what maybe his or her advice might be if you're interested in studying STEM. But a mentor could also be a parent. If you have a parent studying or working in STEM, you could ask them for advice. Or if you have a family friend who you can reach out to ask for advice and guidance, your guidance counselor at school is also a really great resource for this. And these are just a few options. If you are scared to approach any of those people, you can reach out to me. I will be your personal mentor. I will help you in any way that I can. And I know that all of these people who I've previously mentioned also want to help you too. They want to see you succeed. So seek out a mentor and get started on pursuing STEM. The next word that we're going to talk about is persist. So persisting is to continue firmly on a course of action despite challenges, opposition, and failure. The STEM path is full of challenges that you must overcome. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. Some courses, especially towards the beginning of your education, are extremely challenging, and they are meant to weed out people who aren't dedicated to studying STEM. So it is important that if you are considering STEM, if you're pursuing it, that you push through these challenges. Some of these challenges may include discrimination, like I talked about earlier. Other examples are harder coursework. We take such hard classes in high school and college, harder than anybody else, I think, in my personal opinion. This, what you're seeing here in this image, this is organic chemistry, which I just took this past year. It was very hard. I enjoyed it, but it was very hard. Also, we have more coursework. So when you are taking these really hard classes, it's important that you study, and you study a lot. And then on top of that, we're expected to get higher grades. We're expected to get as good of grades as possible. And so all of these things are challenges that we must overcome, and they can be extremely stressful. So how do we do this? How do we push through these challenges? How do we persist in STEM when it feels like STEM is working against us? And my solution for you is to stick together. If you don't already have a group of friends that are also interested in STEM, my biggest piece of advice for someone who's struggling to persist in STEM is to find somebody to do it with. Even just one friend who's also studying STEM that you can lean on, that they can lean on you, you can help each other, is so valuable. I just made a friend this past semester who I swear is the reason that I passed chemistry. Not because he helped me in an extreme amount, but because he was there to listen to me. And that's an important piece of advice to mention as well, is that your mentor, your friends in STEM, they don't necessarily have to be women. They can be men. In my particular experience, I have built great relationships with men. I've also built great relationships with other women studying STEM as well. So it can be men or women. Just the important thing is that when you do have friends that are women in STEM, make sure you're lifting each other up. Make sure you're helping them just a little bit more, being there for them as much as you can, because it is important that we get more women in STEM. I think this image is cute, but it's all sorts of women sticking together in this instance to pursue STEM. And lastly, we have succeed. So succeed is to accomplish a goal or purpose. Our goal is to work in a STEM profession and stay in that STEM profession. So why should this be your goal? I'm assuming that if you're here today, it's because you are at least considering this goal. And if you haven't entirely decided on it yet, let me tell you why you should. There are so many opportunities for young ladies in STEM. Like I mentioned earlier, there's all sorts of job availability. And as our world becomes even more advanced technologically and in the medical field as well, we will see more opportunities open up. Also, universities and employers know that we need more women in STEM. So right now, they're looking to hire you. The opportunity is fantastic, especially in the world where getting a job after school is often difficult for people, but it won't be quite as difficult for you if you study STEM. Also, 33%. 33% is how much more money women in STEM make on average than women in non-STEM professions. I know money isn't everybody's motivator, but it surely does help. Especially if you're coming from a family like mine that maybe didn't have a whole lot of money to blow on fun things. 33% is a huge difference. So if you have 33% more, that's a lot of meals that you don't have to worry about, a lot of fun things that you get to do, and it really is a safety net for a lot of women. Fun. STEM is so much fun, especially in my opinion. Science, I think, is so much fun to do, even when it's hard, even when it's challenging. I have a blast doing it. It makes it so much more fun when you have friends with you. but it is a great, great source of entertainment in my life. You have the opportunity to help others. Because our world relies on science, technology, engineering, and mathematics so much, it really is all around us. Um, STEM careers are always in the business of helping other people, even if it's from a distance. So, doctors and nurses help people directly, but engineers help you from a distance. At the end of the day, we are all in the business of helping people. And then also, you have the opportunity to learn something new every single day. I love to learn, especially about science, about the human body, about animals and plants, cells, tiny stuff. It's all so much fun. And you really have the opportunity to continue to grow throughout your life. There will never become a time in your career where you are done learning. There's always more to learn and more room to grow. So, how do we succeed? What is the secret to succeeding in STEM? Well, I've already told you. It is to pursue and persist. And so all of the things that I've already talked about on those 2 slides apply here as well. Find a mentor, find someone to guide you along your path. Find multiple mentors. Maybe you have a mentor in school that helps you on your road to education, and then you have a mentor later on down the road who helps you prepare for the career that you're interested in. And also build your inner circle with lots and lots of other like-minded individuals who are interested in pursuing careers in STEM as well, because they will always understand when you have a lot on your plate, and they will be there to support you as well. And remember, do not put other women down. I think this is a huge, huge point that I wanted to include here, because it's not just important that you succeed. In our collective goal to increase more women in STEM, it is important that we all succeed. And so when you get into your career and you experience opportunities to compete with your coworkers, I suggest not putting your female coworkers down. Honestly, don't put any of your coworkers down. Just try to be nice and respectful to everybody that you work with, but especially those ladies, because we want to make sure that they succeed as well. And oftentimes there may be a competitive opportunity that you don't take because it would be stepping on another woman. And I think that is a really respectable thing to turn down. But at the end of the day, my biggest piece of advice to all of you is that you are capable of whatever it is that you want to do. So if you want to study STEM, if you want to go into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that is phenomenal. And you absolutely 100% can do that. But you don't have to. You can go into whatever career it is that you want to do, and never, ever hold yourself back and tell yourself that you are not able to do any of those things. You can accomplish anything you set your mind to. But I really just wanted to be here today to share that there is more opportunity than you can see on the surface. You see a lot of people in your daily life, and you may be considering a career like theirs, but just remember that there are careers, jobs that you haven't even heard of yet. And later on down the road, you might decide that one of those would be a perfect fit for you. And even when it's challenging, even when things get hard, just remember that you can do it. And if you set your mind to it, there's nothing that can stop you. And really, honestly, just do what you love. If you love science like I do, there's nothing that can stop you, really. But if you love fashion design and that is your passion, then do that. Because at the end of the day, when you're doing what you love, then you're doing what's best for you. So now I will open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please type them in the private chat. I see there are already some chats in here. Oh, they are from the COSI. Oh, okay. Some questions. Have you always had such a positive attitude when faced with challenges related to gender discrimination in STEM fields? If not, how did you get to the point where you're at now? I have had a positive attitude when faced with challenges related to gender discrimination in STEM fields since I very first started. And that is because I learned about these potential negative things before I personally experienced them. So, like I mentioned previously, my first mentor, the person who reached out to me in the very beginning, was my male biology teacher. And so I didn't think about the potential for men to discriminate against women in STEM fields. But once I learned about it, I immediately had a positive outlook on it. And I was able to see that if we really just stick together, then we can push through that discrimination. And if we increase the amount of women in STEM, then this will be reduced. Are there any women in STEM who you look up to, past or present? I look up to everyone who is in STEM. Honestly, if you have pushed through the challenges and you are in it to win it, then I look up to you. I don't have any specific names or any specific people that I look up to, but we'll just say everyone. What inspired you to run for Miss Franklin County? So I've been competing in the Miss America organization since I was 17. So 4 years ago, and I started in the teen program to gain scholarship money for college. And it took me a few years to really get enough money to help me in college. So that's why I did my first year at commuter school, but that is the reason why I started initially. Also, I love the Miss America organization because they encourage young women to do community service projects like STEM advocacy, or some of my friends are working with animal adoption and veterans and all sorts of other really important initiatives. So that is another great reason why I am competing in the Miss America organization. Did I get any inspiration from our current Miss America and fellow scientist, Camille Schreier? I think Camille is absolutely fantastic. She is an amazing STEM advocate, and I am inspired by her 100%. However, I have been a STEM advocate for a lot longer than I've known who Camille Schreier is. Actually, I've been doing this a lot longer than Camille Schreier has been competing in the Miss America organization. So I'm inspired by her, but she is not the reason why I compete in the Miss America organization or the reason why I'm a STEM advocate. How did I start a nonprofit at such a young age? So my nonprofit started off as a simple PowerPoint presentation like the one I just gave to you today. I took it first into my high school and then a couple other schools, and it just became a 501c3 this past year. So it's taken some time, and it was not necessarily something that I did at a very, very young age. However, I feel like some people would still think 21 is a young age to have a nonprofit. So I will say that I have a very, very supportive mother who is a lot better with words than I am. And she has helped me a lot to kind of create this nonprofit and really make it into what I want it to be. From Joe Butler. Is there an opportunity you didn't have in school that you hope future women in STEM have? I mean, there are a lot of opportunities that I didn't have in school that even young women today have. I know there are schools here in Columbus that are dedicated to STEM education. I did not have the opportunity to attend one of those. And I think that is a really amazing opportunity for young women to go after. Other opportunities I didn't have in school, I don't think so. I think that my school did a really good job of making sure that we had everything we needed. But I do hope that opportunities increase down the road. Absolutely. Okay, wonderful. So for everyone who maybe has a question but didn't feel like throwing it in the chat box today, I want to share with you my contact information. If you want to follow me or send me a DM, you can reach out to me on Instagram. My personal Instagram account is Grace with 2 E's Brown 18, and my Miss Franklin County Instagram account is Franklin County OH. And you can reach me on either one of those. I answer DMs all day, every day. So throw me one if you have a question that you would like me to answer right away. Also, you can email me at gracebrownohio18@gmail if you have a question that maybe is a little bit longer, and I will gladly answer your questions that way. I know that sometimes these chat boxes and these presentations can be a little bit intimidating, so definitely reach out. Follow me if you have any questions or you just want to see what I'm doing. I would love to have that. So yeah, it was absolutely wonderful to share this presentation with you today. I hope that I can hear from some of you in the future. And like I said before, if you need a mentor and you don't have one, I am here for you and I will help you in any way that I can. All right, that is all I have for you today. I think